Peace, family. This is Everything But the Girl, Todd Terry remix, 1995. Let's get into it.
Step off the train, walking down your street again, past your door. You don't live there anymore. See you since you've been there. Now you disappeared somewhere. I got a space. You found some better place, and I miss you. Like the deserts miss the rain, and I miss you. Oh, like the deserts miss the rain. Could you be there? You always were 2 steps ahead of everyone. Walk behind while you would run. I look up at your house, and I can almost hear you shout down to me where I always used to be, and I miss you. Like the deserts miss the rain, and I miss you. Like the deserts miss the rain. Back on the train, that's why did I come again? Can I confess? I've been hanging around your old address, and years have proved too often nothing since you moved. You're all gone.
It's sexy.
I can't move on, and I miss you.
It's a very sexy track.
Miss the rain, and I miss you.
And I know the producer, Todd Terry, I always say Terry Todd, it's Todd Terry. Todd Terry said that when he originally, like when he produced the track, he said it took him like 5 hours. He sent it back to the label, and the label folks, apparently they said they didn't like it because it took away, or they felt like it didn't really represent the artist. But actually, I think it does.
You found some better place, and I miss you. Like the deserts miss the rain.
So I don't know very much about Everything But the Girl. I don't really know much about their music. I don't know anything about their music, really. I'm not familiar with their work. I have heard the original of this, but I know like Everything But the Girl, their vibe is kind of, it's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit, melancholic. I've seen the word thrown around. Um, but you know, how can I describe them? It's certainly, it's certainly a far cry from house music. But I think what Todd Terry did here, I think he made something that was still, it still kind of has, to me, it's still in line with who the band is, and what the song, kind of what the song is expressing. I'm gonna let this play quietly in the background, family. I think it's still in line with who the band is. Let me switch this up. I think it's still in line with who the band is, and I think it's still in line with what the song is expressing. Because when I listen to this track, it has quite a bit of depth. It's sexy. It's got a mysterious kind of edge to it. and I guess I can say that about everything but the girl. They kind of have that semi dark, mysterious mystique about them. you know, Again, just from what I can tell in passing, I haven't really done a deep dive into their music history. But I think it sounded like the way Todd Terry explained it, it sounded like the label thought the remix wasn't going to be a good fit for them, but I think it fits quite well because, like I said, it has that depth. It's got a little mystery on it. It's a little moody. It's you know, it's sexy. Ultimately, it's a very sexy rhythm and just a very sexy vibe in this track. You might not describe everything but the girl as you might not describe that band as sexy, but sexy comes in many forms. So, but man, I love this. Probably one of my favorite house pieces from the 90s. Todd Terry, another artist that I'm still learning about. He's got I'm gonna link down below to some other videos that I think really showcase his style and showcase some of his best work. Now he's a New York house artist. I think he's made some contributions to the the hip house genre, if we can call it that. I wrote an article about hip house. I'll link that below as well. You can check that out. But man, ultimately, I love this. I got this record on vinyl. I got the blue vinyl. Timeless, passionate. You know what? Let me get to because there is some information I wanted to provide as well, and I'll just read these off. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put it up on the screen. Let's see, how can I do that? I'll put it up on the screen while I read. So it says the original version of, and this is all Gemini. Basically, I asked the AI, I said, tell me about the song Missing, the Todd Terry remix. Tell me everything about that song. Give me some facts and information. And this is what I got. The original version of Missing was a gentle guitar based ballad that, okay, my audio is tripping. The original version of Missing was a gentle guitar based ballad that peaked at number 69 on the UK singles charts upon its release in 1994. So it was released in 1994. I think it was the original version was on their 1994 album. And then in 1995, this remix was released. And the original version is it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. It has a little rhythm. It's good, I think. But it goes on to say here, Tracy Thorn, who is the vocalist, lead singer for Everything But the Girl, she told Rolling Stone that Missing was always conceived as a dance floor track. So sounds like, the song in its very inception was supposed to be, danceable, something for the dance floor. It says Atlantic Records commissioned New York house legend Todd Terry to do the remix of the track. Okay, we already know this. The remix began an unprecedented 28-week climb on the US Billboard Hot 100, ultimately spending a record setting 55 weeks on the charts. So, and that's another thing Todd Terry mentioned. He mentioned that it took off in Europe first. Now it says Missing peaked at number two in the US. It was blocked by Mariah Carey's One Sweet Day. And if you old enough, if you're around my age, you remember when One Sweet Day came out, that was Mariah Carey and Boys to Men. That was a major hit. Like you knew the words to that song whether you wanted to or not. Like that's how everywhere. It was just everywhere all at once. And eh, I can, I guess I can see why it didn't go to number one in the US, or I can see why it went to number one in Europe first, because I think the house and the club and the Euro dance scene was just much, probably much stronger there than it was here in the States. I remember 94, 95, 96 being big, mostly hip hop was very much on the rise. R&B, pop, the alternative. But to me, the club was all, or the club music, house, Euro dance, Euro house, I've even heard it said. I think that stuff was somewhat marginalized, or kind of, the American audience can be fickle. Anyway, the global success earned platinum certifications in the UK, Australia, gold certifications in the US, Germany, and France. Now, I would have expected this to go platinum all over Europe, Australia, Europe, maybe even certain parts of Asia. Excuse me. And maybe it did, because the AI is not always accurate. So I might have to look at the actual performance of the song as it is, as it stands today. And regardless of certifications, we know it is it's a how could I say, it's a historic banger. You can't talk about 90s house, club, or dance music without mentioning this. This is going to be always on somebody's list of greatest dance songs of all time. It says the remix established Todd Terry as a superstar producer, leading to commissions from Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson, George Michael, and Bjork. Now that's really interesting. I would love to hear. I got to find out what song Bjork and Todd Terry did. If anybody knows, please let me know. But I'll probably be doing a video on that next. So it says the song's fusion of melancholic vocals and electronic beats spawned the trip pop genre, influencing artists like Morchip, Morchiba, Olive, and later Dido. So trip pop, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know very much about that. But did this song did it set off the trip pop genre? I really don't know. It goes on to say that Tracy Thorn, again, she's the singer for Everybody But the Girl. She acknowledged the lyrical debate, saying people argue whether it's a clever or stupid lyric. Deserts don't miss rain, but as soon as I sang it, we were like, that works. Deserts miss the rain. I, I would imagine at some point in Earth's history, the desert wasn't the desert; it was lush at one point. I mean, it really doesn't matter because I think it was quite a poetic line. That's people's favorite part. Like that's the that's the deep sort of sensual, uh, poetic, part. That's what people remember about this song. Like when people try to find this song, they always type in like the deserts miss the rain song. That's what they Google. So I think it was a brilliant lyric. Uh, I'm not a damn meteorologist. Like it, it beautifully, quite poetically, I think, expressed the I think it expressed what she was trying to get across. How you're missing somebody. Like the deserts miss the rain. So I thought that was genius. Let's see. It goes on to say the song's drum beat has been sampled in at least 24 other tracks, becoming a go-to rhythm for producers throughout the 90s and beyond. Okay. It says Missing has been canonized by major publications, ranking number 21 on Mix Mag's 100 Greatest Dance Singles and number 8 on MTV's 100 Biggest 90s Dance Anthems. The track remains relevant in the digital age, continuing to find new audiences on social media platforms like TikTok and streaming services. So that is all quite interesting. Um, you know, I think for new audiences discovering this, I mean, you're just in for a treat. This, like I said, this is timeless. This is it's a fantastic track. Like I say, it's very sexy. It's very mysterious. It just it's got a mystique about it. When I get on the dance floor, I just got to start doing this type of thing. um, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. So, shout out to Todd, the God, uh, Todd Terry. Matter of fact, I'll play a little video from him and, we can hear what he said about the track.
You see this? I got hits on here. Everything But the Girl. You guys know that record, Missing? Did it really fast. I think it took like 5 hours or so. And then handed it to the label and then get a call back. Oh, we don't know if we could use this. It's changing the artist's style. Well, I mean, that's what you hired me for. You said, do a house mix. So they hit me back saying, well, we're putting it out just to give it a test. Like Benji Candelario calls me and goes, what's this record you got out? It's a blue vinyl. I heard it in Italy, like they're playing it everywhere. I hit up Atlantic. I said, I thought you guys were gonna put this out like a month ago, 2 months ago. Oh, we decided to put it out now, blah, blah, blah. I said, we don't think it's really gonna work. It's like we're just trying something new with this vinyl and mixes. And next thing I know, it didn't work. They said they dropped it. 3 months from that, it was all over the radio. The guys up at Atlantic did a great job. That's the Everything But the Girl story.